Hi everybody, thank you and welcome for tuning in to our UCA live event. So this is an opportunity for you guys at home to ask our students questions about student life and studying at UCA. So thank you to those of you who have already sent in questions via social media. However, if through this live broadcast you would like to send us a question, then please do via our social media channels. So that's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram or Snapchat. Just make sure you use the hashtag UCA Live. That's UCA Live. Now, we only have one mic this evening, so please bear with us. So on that note, I think it's time to pass it around. So now, as you can see, I am joined by some of our lovely, lovely students. So do you guys want to introduce yourselves, say what campus you study on and what course you study? So I'll go this way first.
I'm Rob. I'm Year 2 Music Journalism and I study at Epsom campus.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm a third year digital film and screen art student at UCA Farnham.
Hey, my name's Toby. I study photography and I'm from the Farnham campus.
Hello, my name's Amina. I'm studying Fashion Atelier at the Rochester campus.
Great, thanks guys. And let's kick off with the questions. So the first question is from Elle from email. What type of person would you recommend for the foundation course and why? I'm going to pass to Amina because Amina studied foundation with us.
Hello. I'd recommend someone who basically doesn't really know what they're doing at the moment. Like, they know what they're doing, but they're not sure about what path to go with in terms of like art and everything. For me, for example, I did art, music and photography. So the reason I did foundation was because I wanted to go into fashion and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do exactly. I wanted to go into fashion design, but then I changed my mind during the course because obviously I got to realise what I really wanted to do, and it was Fashion Atelier. There's some other students who basically came in when they did business and then they came in to do the foundation just to get a background on whatever course they wanted to do in the art creative world.
Great, thank you, Amina. So our second question is from Chinello via Snapchat. I've got my interview in January. What is your top advice in terms of portfolio structure? Who'd like to answer that one? Yeah.
Sort of like a good tip, sort of make it sort of work together. So when you're putting your work together, just make sure that you do similar work next to each other. Say, for instance, if it's photography, have similar work that makes your other pictures work well together. So if you've got, for instance, a black and white picture, you may want to put another black and white picture that will help each other. My other sort of good advice when you're in your interview, be really positive about your work. So if you're flicking through your portfolio and be like, this is an amazing piece of work I did. Like, I've really got to tell you about this. So don't just let them go through the book. Stop them. Be positive about your work.
Tutors also really like if you have done work outside of your course you're currently doing. So if you're doing A-level, they like stuff that you've done in your own time, just to kind of see what you want to do, like of your own free will, like stuff you want to endure and want to enjoy. They like seeing that. Also, you tend to talk a lot more favorably of that work outside of an academic point of view.
Great, thanks guys. Anyone else got anything to add to that? Or should we move on? Yeah, okay. So this is from Cecily via Instagram. Is there accommodation just for foundation students? Should we go back to Amina as the foundation?
I don't think there's no, for UCA Rochester, there's no accommodation just for the foundation students, although you're placed in the same building as everybody else, basically, but you have a flat where most of the people that you're going to be living with, like I lived with only foundation students in my flat, either extended diploma foundation, but generally foundation students. So there's no separate, I don't think it's totally separate. You're still within that building, and it's actually cool because then you get to see other people from the other courses as well, and the ones doing the degree courses as well, so you can interact with them. So it's actually pretty cool, yeah.
Great, thank you. Next question is from Wend via Twitter. Do most first-year students live on campus at UCA Rochester? How easy is it to find affordable accommodation? I think we're going to have to come back to you again because you're a Rochester student as well. So we'll just repeat the question. Do most first-year students live on campus at UCA Rochester? How easy is it to find affordable accommodation?
Yes, most first-year students in Rochester live on campus. I don't, because I did the foundation studies and I already lived there, so I moved out because it was. Yeah, you can also get cheaper accommodation around Rochester. It's not particularly expensive and it's good as well, so you can get cheaper accommodation around Rochester, I guess. And yeah, most foundation students for the first year. It's always good to live there in the first year though, because then you get to meet everybody else. That's like you're honing in everyone, like meeting friends and everything. So, yeah.
Thank you. Great. So the next question has come in from Priya via email. She's wondering how many students commute into the uni and how the travel time impacts the workload. Yeah.
It really depends on the course. I know a lot of DFSA students, in the first year commuting is possible just because of the workload, but when you get into year 2 and 3, the sheer amount of work you have to do, and you have to be on campus to do it and use the studios and use the facilities, commuting becomes a lot more difficult. It is possible, and I think there's like one person in my third year who does commute every day, but he does find it affects his work. So I think I'd recommend coming and staying even just a little bit closer than, say, London, which is a 55-minute commute into Farnham. Yeah.
With Epsom, I'd say I think there's maybe probably one person on my course that one person I can instantly think of that commutes from London. In first year, you had maybe a couple of people that were already living in like the surrounding area that would commute in. They'd like drive in or get the train in. But I think pretty much everyone would sort of stay in Epsom. I mean, being quite close to London, it's easier to commute. But I mean, I think everyone sort of takes the advantage of staying outside of London and being able to go into London easily, rather than going to like living in London and coming back to Epsom quite easily. But
Cool, great, thank you. Sorry about the pronunciation on this name. I hope I've got it right. So Jagastraw from Snapchat. So he's asked. This person's asked 2 questions. So I'll go with the first one. So, are there any student exchange programs at UCA?
Yeah. So there's a cultural exchange program, which is basically majority of courses will offer that in the second year. It's really easy to apply. I know a lot of friends have gone there. They've had a wicked time. I don't know anything else to add to that.
So do you guys know sort of like different countries that perhaps you can go to, and sorts of the different, just different places that people can go to?
So for music journalism, there's one person I actually live with at the moment is off to Canada in January for 4 months, I think. For music journalism, you can also go to Sydney, Australia, somewhere in Sweden, a couple places in America. I think that might be it. I'm pretty sure that's it.
Great. And the second question that's come in from this person is, after I've applied, how will I find out more information about my portfolio? So after the application. Yeah?
In the email to do with your interview, you'll be given like a list of what you're expected to bring with you for the interview. But also, if you come to one of our open days, we actually have a portfolio planning advice seminar. So you can actually come in and talk to professors and ask what they would recommend you bring in. And if you go to a course talk as well, any professors or tutors from the course will be more than happy to answer any questions you have about it before you come to your interview.
And also on that note, if you do have any sort of questions regarding the portfolio or any of the application stuff, you can always contact our inquiries team as well, and they'll be really happy to help you. So the next question, where am I? The next question is from Cecily on Instagram. Is there an interview for foundation students? So I'll come back to you.
Sorry. Hello. There is an interview for foundation students. You apply for it independently because it's not through UCAS or anything. depending on where you are anyway. But yeah, so there is definitely an interview for the foundation students, and yeah, really. So
I was just going to add that for the foundation students, that you'll do a group interview. So when you come in, and I know when you normally go to interviews, you're really scared, and doing a group interview just makes you feel more inclined and makes you feel much with ease.
So do you guys have any more tips about your interviews, about like how, any little tips that you can, little nuggets of information that you guys can give out there, just whilst we're on the subject of interviews?
Yeah, it's just elaborating on what Rachel said about just and what Thomas said about being positive, and basically just speaking about your work and things that you've done outside of academic work and stuff, because then you bring in, they do advise you to bring in your, like, because I had for my interview, I had a little sketchbook that I used to take with me everywhere. So I used to make notes in that. So it was actually really good, because then I showed it to the tutor, and he was like, oh yeah, quite impressed with it. So yeah, that kind of is it, because it wasn't something that was academic or I had to do. It was something that was like done, out of the academic work, and that was really good towards a portfolio. So yeah, I think you should do that when you're
So yeah, any little sketchbooks and any little bits of work that you guys have got, keep them. Don't throw away your coursework. Don't throw away any of your sketchbooks or any of your drawings, because they'll be really good for a portfolio. Okay, so the next question is from Jenny via email. So I'm an engineering graduate, but I'm interested in creativity and want to improve my career in the arts. Is it possible for me to do a master's at UCA?
With an engineering degree, I think your best bet for a master's would be in a more management type of master's. We do offer them here, but we also offer a lot more masters. I'm personally not a master's student, so I can't give you a lot of information on it, but I'd recommend looking on the website and maybe emailing the inquiries team and seeing what masters your degree could lead to here.
And there is also our open days as well. So if you wanted to come on an open day, we've got one on the 3rd of December, so this Saturday coming up, and we've also got one on the 14th of December on a Wednesday. So if you come to one of our open days, we'll have the tutors are there, we have our student ambassadors are there, so you can ask questions, and maybe you can come and see what sort of facilities we've got as well. So that's always that option. So next question we have from Jess via email. How much money do you live off roughly each month? So budgeting time. Yep.
So sort of excluding all the sort of house bills, I lived on £50 a month, £50 a week. Okay. Then with like bills on top of that, it's about another £100 per month. So for the rent I paid, it can range from anywhere from sort of £200-300 to £500-600 per month, depending if you're in Farnham, Rochester, or Epsom. Yeah.
And shall we get a view from Canterbury, or not Canterbury, Rochester? Yeah, but you're in halls, aren't you? No. You're not. Okay, great. So yes.
I'm currently renting for like 300 to 400 at the moment, and it's included, and the bills are included, so it's really good. So yeah, but I do tend to live on. It's because it varies though with with my course as well. So I kind of budget it to, let's say, about 70 a week, I should say, just in case, because you never know what you need to buy. So just in case something comes up, it's always better to actually have, just have a little bit more. Yeah, although my budget is.
Great, thanks guys. So the next question we have is from Tom via an Instagram message. So, how close to London is Epsom? Is there much to do in Epsom? Hello, Epsom person.
I think sort of depends where you come from, but I came from quite a small sort of country town in Wiltshire, so moving to Epsom was quite nice because it's not the city, so it's kind of not like a big change. It's kind of like a step up, but there's still like plenty to do in Epsom. Epsom to London is about 35 minutes on the train, and I mean it's quite affordable. If you've got a rail card, it's sort of about £8 for a whole day ticket to go like around all of London. So it's pretty decent for the sort of the amount of time you spend on the train and tube. And I mean it's so easy to get to London, so you can just go and explore London and do pretty much anything, I guess.
Great, and also Farnham's also pretty close to London as well. Not as close as Epsom, but it is pretty close. You can get to London in 55 minutes. So that's not that not that long either. So next question we have is Gabby via Snapchat. Did any of you take a gap year? If so, what did you do? Do you think it was actually worth it? If you didn't take one, do you regret it? But there's a few different questions in there, but all around gap years. So did any of you guys take a gap year? Oh, you did, kind of. Okay. Tell us about your experience.
So after I left college, I went travelling for a little bit. So I went around Europe with some friends for a little while, and also through that, while I was in college, I was working. So I sort of carried on to work after that, and I was sort of kind of doing music things, and that kind of helped me get onto my course because it sort of showed a different angle to just journalism in the music sense, and it was more the other side of the industry and sort of the performer side, I guess. So yeah, I sort of took I think it was like 2 years, and I decided to come to university at like 21. So I think it was better because I sort of understood the value of money a lot more than some people. I did notice sort of at the start, like Freshers Week or so, there's people that are 18 and it's the first time they've had like a couple, like more than £1,000 in their bank account, and they just go crazy with it. And then I had a bit more experience, and I knew that I probably shouldn't spend all my money in the first week.
I did not go on a gap year, but I do not regret it, because as soon as I finished university, I went straight out to America, did a bit of travelling out there, and I felt much rewarded with my time out there because I finished my education now, and it felt like my little present to myself.
Great, thanks guys. Okay, so the next one has come in from Ginge on Snapchat, who we are looking forward to welcoming to UCA for their interview next Wednesday. So good luck for that. The question is, what's the uni like, and what are the art students like? Well, I think it's for Farnham or all of campuses. Let's do it for all the campuses we've got here. So we'll sort of go around. So, Toby?
So yeah, like Farnham is a really sort of fun place. It's got a lot of nature around the university. There's deer, snakes, all the lovely bits. Farnham, as UCA, is a really creative place that everyone around you is really creative. So when you're sort of doing a film or a project, you can bond off other students, and there's a really nice vibe of that at other universities that may offer sort of non-creative courses. You don't get that connection with the other students as well.
It's the same for Rochester. Rochester's more of like a vintage antique sort of town, and it's like there's Rochester, and then it's just close to Chatham, and Chatham is like the complete opposite. So you have like two different towns, and then UCA is placed in the middle of them. So it's like two different set of people, and from all different parts of the country coming into UCA as well. And the creative people, they're the students at UCA generally, like Rochester, actually pretty cool, because then you, especially for me, because for my foundation, I mixed with like loads of different other people, even people who came to Farnham, made so like different campuses, like UCA campuses. So, but yeah, it's actually some of them quite quirky, some really nice, really, but it's generally like a friendly environment as well. It's like you get like-minded people together. It's really good.
And Epsom?
I'd say Epsom. I think Epsom's one of the smaller universities out of the whole UCA thing, but I think it's quite good because it's quite a small sort of like tight-knit sort of community, I guess. Like especially within courses, I think everyone's a lot more sort of, everyone gets on pretty well with each other, and everyone sort of knows each other, and I think that kind of reflects quite well on the social side as well, because everyone gets on pretty well, and you're all sort of in this sort of smaller town, and there's like, I guess, not as many places to go out as there would be in like Farnham or somewhere like that, so it's, you kind of all end up hanging out together like most of the time.
Toby pretty much covered Farnham, but I'd just like to say you haven't experienced Halloween until you've seen art students make their own costumes. It's absolutely crazy what art students can do with the materials they have in their halls. It's amazing.
Great, thanks guys. I'll look out for that next Halloween. I must have missed it this time around. Okay, so the next question is, where am I? Okay, yes, from Emma via Facebook. Do you have any tips on how I present a digital portfolio? Should I pass over?
I am the digital student. Okay. I'd recommend possibly a website or a blog. A blog tends to work better just because you have a self-reflection on the projects. So during your interview, when you're looking at the projects, you have something to go off when they ask you a question. But other than that, try and keep it, like if you're submitting a disc, for instance, you're a film student, make sure you stick to the requirements that get asked of you during, like when your email comes through for your interview, because if you overrun, then you could get cut off before you see your like most amazing piece of work that you've left till the last chapter of the disc. But yeah, just try and keep it simple. You're not getting graded or anything on your website design, I guess. And make sure it showcases your work the way you want it to look.
Great, thank you. So the next question is another one from Wend on Twitter. So, my daughter is in France. She's worried about being in the UK for the first time despite being bilingual. Is there any support for foreign students?
Yes, there is support for for foreign students actually. Usually in the Rochester campus, you have to go through the library, and then they have like private counsellors. There's a drop-in session, so if you need any help with anything, and you need any help basically like just finding you around, or like if you're getting stuck, or it's basically everything, like they're very supportive and they do speak to you. Because I moved from Nigeria, so it was kind of getting used to staying, like, getting used to a different environment and then like different people and everything. So, but yeah, you do get help, and it's really good because then they interact with you personally, and you don't have to. There's no one around, and it's just you and the person, and then you can just tell them whatever you're going through, and they help you out with it. But yeah.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is from Will via email. Are there any trips abroad on your courses?
So with music journalism, first year they do, I think it's 4 to 5 days, a trip to Amsterdam. This year, I'm not sure if it's a thing every year, but this year we got offered about the same amount of days to New York. And I'm pretty sure there's something in the third year as well. I think the Amsterdam trip for music journalism is open to all years every year. So it's mostly for the first years, but it's sort of open to other years as well. So it's a good way to sort of meet people in other years and sort of connect, I guess.
And have any of you guys done any of the trips abroad, or know any of your friends who've done the trips abroad? And what was their kind of, did they enjoy it? Yeah?
For the foundation course, I went to Amsterdam for that, for I think it was a week or 2 weeks. And we went to Amsterdam and then for my Atelier course, the second and third years actually go to New York in January. Yeah. The Amsterdam one was for foundation because I'm in the first year, so I haven't gone for this New York trip. Looking forward to it though. But yeah. But yeah, for the foundation, for the Amsterdam trip when we went for foundation studies, it was really good. It was really, really good because you're technically doing a project as well as being on the trip as well, but you're also having fun because they give you loads of free time, and it's really good. And then you just go around, look at things yourself. And I got this shirt from Amsterdam, so.
Did you plan that? No. Okay, so the next question is, I think, actually a very important question, actually. It's from Nick on Twitter, and he wants to know what the food is like in the canteen. Oh.
It's really good. It's really good. And they have different should I say cuisines, or different menus. Cuisines basically, and different days. You could get Indian, and then you could get, sometimes it's just like they just mix it up, and it's really good. They do cook really well, and I like food, so I know.
So that was our Rochester campus. What about the Surrey campuses? So Farnham, what's Farnham food like?
Has really good sausage rolls. Like on my break time, it's like my go-to food. It's really nice and easy. They do the same thing they do as at Rochester with the different cuisines. I do recommend those. They're really good energy foods. Like after you've done that deadline, you just want to get a bit of food down you. Yeah. Anyone else?
Epsom.
Yeah, pretty much the same. Really good food in the canteen is Epsom. But there's also, I mean, at UCA Epsom, you're pretty much in the centre of town. So, I mean, if you don't like what's in the canteen, there's always like a lot of things in town anyway. So, I mean, there's a lot of options.
Great, thanks guys. This is from Maria on Facebook. Can I use my GCSE work in my portfolio?
Well, it sort of depends how good that work is. If you think it's the best work you've done, you haven't done anything better since, I think it's a great idea to put it in. If it makes your portfolio strong, put it in. Don't be sort of ashamed of any work. If it's wacky or not, or yeah.
I think, keep your work, and then at the end you can like lie it all out on a table and then pick your strongest pieces. But if you throw it away or forget to go and pick it up at the end of term, then you'll be like, oh, I really wanted to put that in there. So make sure you do keep the work at least. So the next question is from Hajar, an email. For international students, what is the best way of creating a portfolio or showing preferred websites used in a portfolio? So I'll ask that one again. So what is the best way of creating a portfolio or showing preferred websites used in a portfolio? So like how did you guys create your portfolios? Yeah.
So I come from a sort of photographic background, and when I showed my work as a portfolio, I used Flickr. And that was, I think, it was the ones they recommended. So when they do ask for a portfolio, they do give you some recommendations of websites to go. If you're looking for like another one, Blogger or WordPress is a good way to sort of show your work as well.
Anyone else? Nope. Okay. So this is from Joe via Instagram. What's the difference between fashion design and fashion atelier? Now, see, I didn't actually know this when I first joined UCA as well. So I will pass over to our fashion student.
Hi. Fashion, well, that's usually like an argument between like fashion design students and fashion atelier students because they're trying to figure out who actually does more work than the others. So, but I do believe fashion atelier do more work than fashion design. Anyway, but the fashion design course, it's more of designing. I would probably say that because I haven't done it, so I'm not going to elaborate on that too much and not say something that is wrong. So, but I believe the fashion design course, they actually do the design. For Atelier, it's quite different. If you're more of a technical person, if you're more hands-on, like you like to physically do things, like you want to know, like you're a very detailed person, you want to know everything, like not everything, but you want to know how everything fits everything, you know, in fashion basically, like clothing, like garment construction, that's basically what it is. So it's in depth and it's more, we're basically like couturiers, while fashion designers, they design they can be couture designers or they could be retail designers. We don't learn to be retail designers. I don't want to sound too bougie, but yeah, we don't learn to be like retail designers. We're more like, like high-end, like Ralph Rucci, you know, sort of basically just quality, really good quality, and learning, like I said, learning like garment construction and just really technical garment construction apart from designing. But you also do learn design with it as well. So we do fashion illustrations as well as the fashion design students. They do that as well. And we have the theory. We have things in common where we do our essays together. We have the same topics, and then we research about fashion because it's all within the same subject anyway. So, and then we do interact with them, although there's a bit of a envious thing going on, but we do interact with them as well. It's all good anyway. But yeah, that's what I think it is.
Thank you. So the next question is from Rob via email. I'm thinking of studying photography. Do I need my own equipment or can I hire some?
Well, it's a really good question. So the university at Farnham has its own stores, and it's all Nikon-based digital SLRs. They do have some Canons, but they're mainly for the film production. But it is a good idea to have your own camera. It's not required, but then you don't have to keep running down to stores every day when you want to use your camera. So then sort of tripods, lights, that's all supplied by the university. We also have sort of old sort of film cameras, so medium format, large format, 35mm. Yeah.
And Toby, do you have any recommendations of what sort of camera, if somebody was looking to now purchase a camera or something, do you have any sort of recommendations of what sort of things it needs to include now, because you've done the course and stuff?
So me personally, I would definitely spend around 500 at least on a good camera, because it's meant to sort of stay for 3 years. So it's kind of your own investment for your career.
Great, thank you. So the next question is from Kyla on Twitter. Are there any opportunities for work placements in your courses? Yeah.
So music journalism is very hands-on. You're quite encouraged to go out and do work experience throughout your course. Not just in second year, you have a 6-week period where it's like a requirement, but you're sort of encouraged to go out and do it throughout your entire course. So we've had opportunities. We've been to the NME office, and they sort of said like if we were looking for work experience, we're quite welcome there. We have a lot of guest lectures as well from a lot of online publications and magazines. So we get to go to places like The Quietus, Louder Than War, Uncut magazine. There's sort of basically anything that's sort of based in the London area. If you say you're a music journalism student at UCA, you've got quite a good chance of getting some work experience there, and it's a really good way to sort of get a more hands-on sort of experience in the industry.
A work placement isn't a requirement on DFSA. However, it's thoroughly encouraged. But the upside